like, the other day there was a race locally and I didn't end up doing it. I'm just looking at the results and I'm like, yeah, I probably could have done something in this that would have been pretty funny. But yeah, I think it's about picking and choosing. Local races, yeah, you can definitely just hop in and people will be like, oh, what the heck?
I know.
But then you can get to some of the bigger races where there's actually money and they'll have elite fields and an elite field coordinator. And so that's a bit of a different experience. But yeah, like maybe I'll hop in a turkey trot this year and just have fun with it. See what happens.
Tom, if I'm in a turkey trot and I see you anywhere near it, this is what I'm going to say to you. Hey, I'll yell as you pass me because hopefully I can like start off in front of you. I'm hoping. But because if you start in front of me, you won't hear it. But I'm going to say, hey, Tom, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot. I'm just mad. That's so.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new app and searching for a fade fiend. New fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones. They gave us fuel support this season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your wisdom out of.
Welcome in, everyone. Episode 190. Stop me if you've heard this before. With our guest, Tom Brady. Yes. Here's how it's gonna happen, Tom. They're gonna see this, and I'm gonna put a thumbnail on, but then they're gonna be like, Tom Brady. So I just gotta know, Tom, do you have a sense of humor of it, or are you at the point now you're just like, come on, guys, he's not everything?
I mean, yeah, I chose to go to Michigan as someone named Tom Brady, so you got to have a sense of humor about it. If you don't, it's just kind of being a buzzkill. So I've gotten all kinds of jokes over the years about it, and I just roll with it because why not?
For the good and the bad. Did you watch his roast? Did you watch that?
I've seen clips. I didn't watch the full thing, but they had some pretty good stuff in there.
Yeah. He did a great job. I bet in hindsight he regrets it, but
he said he regrets it.
Yeah.
I get that.
I understand. So then most people are going to go there, but we got this Tom Brady. And Tom, let's find out a little bit. Where are you from? You're not from NorCal like him, are you?
No, I'm from Park Ridge, Illinois, so just outside Chicago.
Yeah. So I'm going to say it's pretty competitive. You got the fourth largest city. I heard Houston took it from them for the longest. Chicago was the third.
We're still number 3. We're still number 3.
Okay. So it's got to be competitive, right? No one wins like every race. In high school, were there was it instant wins for you, or were there some big heavy hitters?
Yeah, it depends on the level of competition. There's a lot of really good runners from Illinois, so at the state meets it was really competitive. Conference meets could be a little less competitive, but yeah, definitely a lot of heavy hitters that did a lot of things after high school too.
Now, we're all on a journey, Tom. Like, we're trying to get to a point. We're still trying to figure stuff out. What events did you run in high school?
Yeah, I was 3,200 and 1,600, so like 2 mile. My coach stopped letting me run the mile after a while because he's like, you're really good at the 2 mile, and every time you run the mile, you're taking away an opportunity from a teammate. So didn't get to run it that much, but I really like the 2 mile, just the mile, but twice, and you get to run around, and it's a little slower of a pace, and you get a little more relaxed, but then you always get to like a lap to go, and it's a full-out sprint, and I love that. And I love getting that last 100, and you're just going as hard as you can trying to win. That was always a great feeling.
Tom, I think when you're getting – I was a 2 mile or 2 in high school, not to your level. I actually specialized in the 800. I ran the 2 mile when a coach needed me. But I'm very curious, Tom. I always get to that point, and I wonder, do these guys know who they are? Are you that person that can sprint that last 100, and you don't care who's coming or who's in front of you, you're going to get them? Or those people that know, look, I'm not a sprinter, so when it comes around that last lap and I hear that bell, I need to make a move then. I got to make a move on that back stretch, and I probably got to start laying it out at the start of the 200. When do people start to figure that out? Was it hard for you?
I think for me, it was always like elementary school, middle school. I thought I could get to good top speed, and I knew I wasn't a good sprinter, but for whatever reason, I thought, just always believed I could kick harder than other people because I wanted it more. So I just really bought into that, and then it actually happened. And when you believe in that, it's a lot easier to race because you get to 3 laps to go, and you're like, oh, I don't need to make a move yet. I can outkick this person with a lap to go. And so I'm not always going to be as confident in that, but a lot of the times, especially in high school, I was like, yeah, I can just outrun these guys, and I'm going to want it more, so it's going to work out.
Tom, I got to know this part. I started this. I like to go back and then come forward.
Yeah.
Just set a little base, let people kind of infer what they want from your maturing, your maturation. Tom, I know that running that 3,200, that 1,600, those are a lot of, I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Virginia. Nobody wants to run that stuff. Even if they're slow, they think they're a sprinter until they find out they're not good.
Right.
When you first started out, when did it click to you, this is where I want to be? Because you might have been a good 800 guy. You might have been. When did you figure it out?
I think probably when I was 7. I mean, my parents would take me out on like runs occasionally, and I'd do fun runs like a 5K. By the time I was 11, I was doing 10Ks, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a distance guy. I like running the longer races. So I did cross country in middle school. It was okay. We didn't work that hard. And going into high school, I'm like, okay, I'm 5'7", can't play football, can't play basketball, baseball. I'm not good enough at soccer. Like, not big enough or athletic enough for any of those anymore, even though I love them. So I should give running a shot. And so distance was the only way to go, because I knew my top end speed just was never there. I was not going to be unrealistic about what I could do. I was never going to be coming out of the blocks running a 200 or 100. No way.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, this one I got to know, though. Everyone always wants to be what they're not, right? So I want to know, when did you get that itch out of your system to go during track practice, fool around, coming out the blocks, just to do it? Maybe going over to the jump pit, jumping into some sand, or maybe you could do your height or a little higher than your height in the high jump. Yeah. Do you still have that?
No. I mean, in middle school, you do some of those events. You do the long jump, you do like the hurdles, and you get to kind of see what you can do. And I remember doing like a 12-foot long jump. I'm like, oh, I'm terrible at this. And we're doing the high jump, and I got like, I don't know, 4'6", and I'm like,
right,
that's shorter than I am. This is terrible. So I just that got the itch out of my system completely. I don't like to do things I'm not good at if I don't think that I can get better, and I didn't think I could get better. So I was like, stuck in the life of a distance runner.
Crap. It looks like, Tom, you're better than the rest of us. You figured yourself out faster than the rest of us, because you know how long it takes we're still trying to figure out. We're forcing ourselves into things we can't do. But speaking of forcing it, I know there had to been another coach that came a-calling, and you kind of mentioned it in soccer. I know that soccer coach wanted you, right? That distance, that drive that you could keep running instead of walking.
Well, the issue was I was in love with all the sports I played, like soccer, baseball, basketball, football. And so I didn't want to give any of them up. So I played house league for all of them, because if I played travel in one, I had to commit to it. And so by the time I got to high school, I hadn't specialized in any of them, so I wasn't really needed in any of them. So I was like, okay, cross country, that's the path. No one's asking for me to do something or another. I'm just gonna try running, give that a go, have fun with it.
When did it click that you were good, that you knew as a 11-year-old? Did you go win a 5K and a bunch of old guys are like, oh, you whippersnapper, nobody invited you?
Yeah, I thought I was decent because elementary school, middle school, I could run one of the faster miles.
Yeah.
But it was really like the spring of my freshman year of high school, I started running pretty solid times, and I was pretty competitive within our conference as a freshman. And I was like, oh, I might actually be like solid at this. So
Yeah.
I put in a ton of work over the next summer, and by the fall of sophomore year, I was one of the best sophomores in the state. So I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm pretty good at this. And for the longest time, I told my parents, don't let me run in college because I don't want to sacrifice academics just so I can run. And by the end of my sophomore year, I'm like, maybe I could actually go somewhere that's got good academics and good running. And so that was a pretty cool journey for me.
Okay, how many offers did you have senior year? What would you say? 20 schools wanted you?
It's like you get a lot of people reaching out, and you kind of filter through what you want and what you don't want. And so I had like a list of, it was 10, then it was 5. I kept narrowing down my schools and taking officials and stuff like that. So by the time I was deciding, it was pretty much just the one school I wanted to go to. But I had a lot of schools I was talking to, a lot of emails to do, lots of unofficial visits. It's a lot of work, that whole process of coming out of high school. And I was pretty grateful for that, but I felt like most places I wanted to go, I could have if I wanted to run there. But Michigan was the right one for me. So,
who was number 2, Tom? Don't worry, you're already you're already a proud alumni. Don't worry,
yeah.
You won't come back. But
I mean, it's hard to say if there's a number 2. One of my dreams was always to run at Stanford because I thought Stanford was so cool with like the academics and like it's such an awesome place. But I got offered like kind of, I think it was recruited walk on. I wasn't really sure coming out of high school what it was. It was a confusing process, but I thought it was recruited walk on. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go Michigan. I think they want me a little bit more there, and it ended up being the great choice for me.
All right, so now it's time to move on to Michigan, but I got to finish this last one.
Yeah.
Tom, it's your senior year. Maybe you brown bagged it. You came through that lunch line. You got that tray. What table are you sitting at? You sitting with the track guys, or were you a lover boy? There was a bunch of ladies. What was your
combination of like track and also like nerds. So I was definitely a nerd in high school. So it was a little bit of both because there's definitely an overlap of distance runners and nerds. And yeah, that was my table. Like my buddy and I would be having political debates at lunch, and that was how we. I mean, it was so bad to the point that my senior year I didn't have a lunch. I had too many classes, so I didn't have a lunch period.
Wow.
So a bit of a nerd in high school.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, I was a skater, and we skipped lunch because we would just. That's the time we could all go outside. It's sort of like everyone. I wasn't a big school, so like the lunch period was for everyone. Yeah. And we can go outside, and we call it session. We can have a session, and we just like do stuff. And now I don't have to take the bus or get my mom to drive me all the way over to where you live. We already did it. So that's what we did. But now that I felt good about that until talking with you, Tom. I feel bad now, man. You were pursuing your academics, and I'm just trying to land this nollie kickflip.
I just didn't want to have to take like physics and chemistry in college. That was the goal.
So much smarter. Well, there's nothing I can do about it now, Tom. You've passed me. So it was time to go to Michigan.
Yeah.
I also got to know, was there some familial pressure? Maybe your circle to go be a Fighting Illini? Like, was that hard?
I mean, it was my parents' dream when I was younger, but then once I started getting good at running and was considering my options, it was like, maybe I take a visit to Illinois because it's the home state school and it's got really good programs, but they were always prioritizing where I was going to be happiest, where I was going to get the best academics, where I was going to get the best team environment. And so they were just happy with whatever really excited me and was good for me. And both my parents went to Illinois, and my mom switched allegiances to Michigan once I committed to Michigan. She's a total traitor. My dad's still an Illinois fan, but he would wear Michigan gear for us, even though he called us the evil empire.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah. I like that. Wow. Yeah. Wait, Like, could you send him stuff home and or he like, hey Tom, I'm gonna wear a hat, maybe a sweatshirt, send the rest to your mother.
So he had a hat that said Michigan cross country. He wouldn't just get a Michigan hat because he needs people to know it's just cross country he's supporting.
Yes.
And then he's one of those dads who wears like the kind of plaid shirts to work, and he had like a yellow and blue one that he would wear for meets. So that was his way of supporting us.
That's love. That's love.
I mean, he kind of had fun. We all had fun with it. If I had really asked him to wear a shirt, he would have. But
yeah,
he loves Michigan cross country and track more than Illinois cross country and track. But Illinois football, Illinois basketball, he's always going to be rooting for them.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. So you grew up in Illinois. You went to Michigan. Tom, I think I need to know here. What do you like the most?
I mean, I like Chicago the best. Like,
so, yeah, okay,
like,
yeah, okay.
I like Michigan a lot. It's my second favorite state, but I like Chicago area the best. I think it's just a really great place to be in. It's always going to be home for me.
Here's a stereotype I bet all of us have here. I've gone to Chicago. I guess since 2008, I think it's been, Tom. And never once have I ever had to get a hotel because they treat me so nice there. My friends let me couch surf.
Yeah.
But there's this thing you guys have there called the Taste of Chicago.
Yeah.
A person who trains like you really go enjoy something like that.
I mean, they've got so many restaurants. It's you can find something. It's huge, and it's like this time of year anyway. So it's a pretty cool time in Chicago. I love how much is going on in the city at all times, and such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I'm a motorcycle rider, and so when I went there, it was because we have a motorcycle chapter there. So those are all the guys I was visiting, and so that's another reason why I fell in love with Chicago, because the tours were on the back of, I'm on my motorcycle and they're just driving me around, and we're stopping and we're going up and we're over at the Bean, and I mean, how could you not fall in love?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know just one last little thing here. We're gonna get off the Michigan, but when you go home after that first year at Michigan, when you came home for the summer, I'm gonna say that your friends and family, they weren't exactly sold on it. Maybe by the end of sophomore, junior year, they were, but they gave you a hard time that first time coming back, didn't they?
I mean, a bit. Like, everyone, there's not as strong a rivalry as you'd think, because Illinois is just not very good at sports, haven't been for the last 10, 20 years. So some people gave me a little bit of shtick for it, like especially the older neighbors. They're all like, you went to Michigan? Come on. Don't you love Illinois? But I mean, definitely, caught some flack for it, but it was all good fun. And I think a lot of people in my area have a lot of Michigan connections. So it's a very Midwestern sense of like competitiveness, but friendliness.
So you finally get there. How do you make your decision on what to major in? Because I can't peg what you would major in, so I gotta know.
So my neighbor growing up always was working as a software engineer, and I thought that was super cool, and I was good with computers. And so I gave a class a try going into freshman year of high school. Thought it was awesome. Computer science is really cool. Took like 3 or 4 classes in high school, and I knew I was going to be doing computer science in college. Like, I probably knew as soon as like 8th grade that I was going to be majoring in computer science. So,
oh man, I'm gonna say there aren't a lot of computer science majors that are amazing runners like this. I mean, can I say that like you were talking about, like you had your friends that were nerds. Do those nerds really keep working as hard and focus on college level athletics? They deviate at a point, don't they?
Yeah, I guess there's partly a choice to make. If any sport at a school is going to be computer science related, it's going to be like cross country and track. I think we had like 5 other people doing computer science, so quite a lot. But Yeah, it's a hard balance. Computer science is a lot of work and running's a lot of work, so didn't really have any free time ever.
When you're at Michigan and you're trying to, your coaches are saying, all right, we got to work on some speed. We got to work on that kick. We got to work on that last lap. Who do they tell you to go train with? Are you training with the quarter milers, the sprinters, the 100, 200 people? How does that work?
No, you do not get to train with those guys. They're too special. They would make me look like a fool. So you don't want to, as a distance runner, you don't want to focus on sprint mechanics because you're only ever going to be using it at the end of a race. And so you're not going to be able to act like a sprinter. You just really work with your own event group. And it's more just about getting comfortable running faster and faster. So the best thing for me was always just doing strides. Like I'd do a 100-meter stride and just focus on my form and try to get fast. And I'd line up next to our like milers who are faster than me. And I'd just say, all right, I'm going to do my best to stick with him while keeping my form good. And that's how I got a lot better at speed. I went from being one of the slower guys on the team to, probably having one of the better wheels on the team by the end of my time. So,
all right. So, Tom, there's the NCAA championships.
Yeah.
I went to last year. I live in Austin, Texas, and so I went to it last year. It was awesome. I was down. I mean, I was down on the track. Matter of fact, we were in the middle because we were presenting some scholarships and stuff. I'm addicted now. Like I got to go back. It was the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah.
But is that the end all? Like, do you have to win the NCAA championship when you're a runner at your level? Like, does that have to happen?
Nah, I think you look at the people that are in the NCAA right now, and you consider your own ability. And I think everyone's got to acknowledge their limits. I'm never going to tell myself I can't do something. I'm always going to be realistic about what I can do and try to temper my expectations that way. So I think looking at where the NCAA is right now, you have to be an Olympian to win an NCAA final or even to be top 3 or 4. And so knowing that, I think I go to an NCAA championship and I just say, if I can mix it up with these guys, that's a good day because those guys are incredible and they're doing things that I aspire to do, and I just gotta be happy with what I'm able to do against them. So it's not the end all be all to win a title because it's just so difficult these days.
So for those that are learning about you, how did you do at NCAA championships during your time?
Yeah, I mean, as a 4-time All-American, which I can be proud of, but I never quite came to the level I wanted to. I took like this outdoors in the 10K. I was 15th. I was pretty frustrated with it, but it was definitely a tough spring for me. Like lots of sickness and just dealing with lots of things like that. So when I look back at my NCAAs, I just say I mixed it up and tried my best, but didn't always turn out the way I wanted.
So what's your view on the Olympic trials? We all just watched it.
Right.
I mean, it's so captivating.
Yeah. Honestly, it might be more entertaining than the Olympics, the U.S. Olympic trials, but it's such an awesome place. And, for me getting to go, I went there with very little expectation. I know that there are the top people who say, yeah, I came here in the past and didn't have expectation, but now I'm here to compete. And I think for me, I was just like, this is an awesome experience. I'll do my best to compete, but just being here is incredible and a great feeling. So I'm just gonna take it all in.
So what was? We finally got there. I hope I didn't get through Michigan too fast because I had to get here. But what qualified you for the Olympic trials? For those who didn't know or who are just learning, how did you get the invite to the Olympic trials?
Right. So during the indoor season, I was running at Boston and I ran a 5K in 13:24, and the automatic standard for making the trials is 13:25. So I got the standard and got invited to the trials.
Oh my gosh. I think people, if they're driving, I should have warned them. I think you made someone crash there. 3 miles. My God. 13:24. Okay. You walk off the track, 13:24. Maybe it said 13:25 and then they update it. I don't know if that's as extreme as it is for sprinters. You know, they make changes after that.
Not a whole second, no.
Okay. So did you grasp that? Sorry. Let's go back to that race.
Yeah.
How did you finish? Did you win that race?
Yeah, I won that race. It was
Okay.
basically we were just trying to make indoor nationals for NCAA track, which tells you how difficult NCAA track has become.
Yeah.
So I got to like 8 laps to go. It was a solid race. And my coach starts yelling at me, "You have to win." And I know he means if I want to make it NCAA indoors with a time standard, I need to win that race. That's what it's going to take for the time. So we get to like 300 meters to go, and I just shoot out of a cannon, and I won the race. It was a lot of fun. And after the race, my coach and my teammate were going nuts because I made indoors. Like, we knew I had made it, and it was a great feeling. And a few days later, I'm looking at like USA trial stuff, and I realized that the standard was 13:25. And I'm like, oh, I made the trials. That's going to be pretty cool in like 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
So that was fun.
How did you that race? Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I would have loved let's all go back and view that. We got to watch this race. But can you remember, especially with the win at the end, maybe more things stood out? You said it eight laps to go. When did you know that you felt good and you had it? Like, today, I got it. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think in a 5K, when you get to, you gotta set points for yourself, and in an indoor track, it's especially hard because it's 25 laps instead of 12 and a half.
Yeah.
And so I got to 10 laps to go, so just 2K left, and I was like, this pace feels very manageable, and I'm feeling good. I need to just keep making the right moves. So then I told myself at 8 laps to go, there's barely any race left. I can do this. And so I just kept making moves to stay with the front guys. And with like 2 laps to go, I'm like, yeah, I can win this. So I went for it, and it was a great feeling.
So you found out a couple days later that the Olympic standard was that. Who's the first person you called? I
text my mom. I'm like, hey, turns out that the trial standard was 13:25, so I'm going to the trials. And I think it was a way bigger deal for my parents than it was for me, because for whatever reason, people actually know what the Olympic trials is. Track. I didn't realize people knew what the Olympic trials was. I thought everyone would mistakenly assume I was saying Olympics, but no, they knew I meant like the USA trials that they show on NBC. And so they were just really excited about it because they knew it was pretty awesome, and they were just really proud to be able to say that they had someone like their son make it, I guess.
Did your teammates, coaches, did they treat you different after everyone found out?
Not in the slightest, no.
Wait a minute. What about, I know, okay, so there's Donato, there's Tom. Just try not to laugh, Tom. But let's just say I'm on the team. I'm about as fast as you. You know, Tom, every single practice, every time I'm near you, I'm trying to beat you. Like, to feel good about myself. You didn't notice any of that?
No, that would have been my attitude if I was someone else on the team. Not everyone has the same attitude about what it takes to be a good runner. And so I basically was my own training partner for 3 years. Like, no one else wanted to train with me because they just didn't think they could. And I always thought that was really stupid. Like, hey, just give it a shot, see what you can do. So after that happened, I think everyone was just so like, yeah, that's Tom. He does things like that. Like, we're just, I mean, they were really excited about the result and everything, but it's not like they treated me any different. I think I've always been seen as the guy on the team who does crazy things. And by crazy, I mean like goes out and does a really hard long run, and everyone's like, why did you do that? So it's hard when someone gets that impression of me, and then like they're not going to see me any different for other things I do, because they're going to be like, yeah, that adds up.
All right. I know a lot of people are thinking it. Tom, we want to know, what did you eat that night before? And then what did you eat after? Well, after you found out about the Olympic standard. So the night before the race,
Yeah.
anything out of the ordinary? Or
Nah, my coach, my teammate, and I, because it was a small trip, we were just there to get NCAA times, because Boston's got the best track in the world. We just went and got some pasta. So I got like, I think it was probably just like bolognese. So pretty standard stuff. And the night I found out I made the team, I don't know, I just meal prepped for a whole week. So it's probably like, knowing me, chicken and rice, something boring.
Because I think the rest of us, I think this is what we think. And I know a lot of athletes have this, Tom, but don't we get, I don't want to say superstitious, but we have like patterns, right? And you're like, oh, wait a minute, let me do what I did then, even though I haven't been doing that.
Yeah, I would say it's really hard to get out of patterns in athletics. You gotta find a pattern that works, but you can't be stuck with it, because if it doesn't work out, if your team goes to a Mexican restaurant instead of an Italian restaurant the night before a race, you have to be flexible. So I generally eat pasta the night before a race, and I generally do all these things on the day of a race. But if I can't, I try to relax and just roll with it. And that's something that took me 5 years of college running and 9 years of total running to actually figure out.
Tom, you said meal prepping for the week. You got to remember, Tom, you're talking to normal folk. You live in the most overweight country in the world, where our poor people are overweight. Tom, I lost some of our listeners there, so I got to bring it back. Do you have a cheat meal or a cheat day during the week? This is where you don't look like a robot, Tom. Do you do any of that?
No.
Oh, man.
It was something that started in high school, where I just like dropped a bunch of foods and stuff that I didn't feel good about eating.
Yeah.
And eventually, once I got to college, I was like, I could totally have like ice cream. I could totally eat this stuff. And I just really don't feel like it. Like, I think it formed out of an unhealthy place with food, but it really came back to something where I was like, I really am like, I can have a really good dessert where it's literally just like cereal and peanut butter, and I'm like, man, this is really good. And I don't like ice cream that much, because maybe the taste is good, but I always felt kind of like groggy and gross after I ate stuff like that, and it never made me feel good. So I just dropped it, and I've been happy about that ever since.
Oh, okay, that's it feels a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't like, people absolutely should have like cheat meals, and it doesn't even need to be cheat. It doesn't need to be like, oh, I earned this. Like, you can have like a healthy like relationship with like desserts and everything. I think it's just about like, I never had an interest in doing that, so I didn't.
Well, no, I've never been a drinker, and I'm a Army vet, and so I don't want to feed a stereotype there, but I know there's a lot of times and places people are like, hey, what do you mean you're not going to drink? Well, if you've never done it, you don't really miss it. Is how I always explain it to people. I tell them, I'm not trying to be a saint. I got my vices. Like, there's, I don't know if I'm going to make it to heaven, is what I'd always tell them, because you kind of got to sidetrack them, because you know how it is. People, when they find out you don't do something, then they want to, I got to be the one that makes them start eating apple pie after every meal.
Right. Just like, if you're happy in that pattern, then that's great. Like, people should just be happy with the choices they make, and if they're not happy, then make some new choices.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, people, that means it's more pie for you if we're not taking it. Okay. Your trip to the Olympic trials. School ended, and you've got time from the end of school to heading out for the trials? Do you go out early? Do you stay in Michigan? Do you go back to Illinois?
So yeah, we were in Michigan up until 3 days before the race, just training in Ann Arbor, getting the work in. I just basically get to live like a pro runner at that point, just running and applying for jobs and stuff like that. So it was it's cool to kind of live that way, but you get tired after a while. Then we flew on a Monday and raced on a Thursday. So
yeah. Okay, so then you get out there. Did it overwhelm you? Because I mean, this is the Mecca. Like, hey guys, I'm in Oregon. Like I'm here. Did that hit you?
No, I don't think so. It was more like you see a lot of these. Like I'm like warming up with my buddy before the race, and we're sitting like 5 feet from Noah Lyles, and I'm like, that's the fastest man on the planet. And so you kind of gush about it, and you're like, whoa, that's insane. But then you're also just kind of like, it is what it is. I'm here to run, have fun. Like, I think it's about the level of seriousness you take it with. If you're like, I have to do this, I have to do that, then you're going to get overwhelmed by all of it. But I just chose to take it in and have fun with it. And so it didn't really overwhelm me. It was at times a little bit like, oh man, this is a lot. But I never felt really overwhelmed. I just kind of was like, this is awesome. I'm taking it in.
Was it a challenge deal, like because you're out of your routine once you get there? So you're there, you have 3 days. Like there's got to be like mandatory meetings, some media things, maybe some team practices. Like, did it affect your routine? Were you jostled?
Nah, you get used to all the stuff you have to do for racing, so it's pretty straightforward. You just roll with it, and your practice can be at any time of the day, and you're just like, yeah, it is what it is. And that's something that every athlete needs to like be able to do, is adjust to that and be flexible, because if you're not, you're gonna get really uncomfortable and really in your head about things.
At this level, are you a 2-a-day person, 3-a-day, a hard workout in the morning? How do you figure this out?
Never a 3-a-day. I've had a lot of doubles. So that's basically just to add mileage, though. Sometimes a double workout, but very, very rarely. Just my mileage floats anywhere from like 80 to 90 miles a week. So you have to put in some doubles there, or else all your runs are going to be like 14 miles, and that's a lot to do at once. So it's a lot of miles to get in for a week, but you find a way to do it.
Okay. Some of us drive 80, 90 miles a week, Tom, just to get to work.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to keep it together, Tom. I honestly am. But you got to know, this is so cool for me and for us. So I was, I'm going to say it at the end, but I just want to take a moment now to say this is so cool that you were able to come on and talk with us, and for the listeners too. All right. So, Tom, I know what you said. You got to be flexible. I'm listening, Tom, but we have preferences. Do you prefer to get that workout run early in the morning and it's done? Because us, Tom, let me explain to you, those of us who have these jobs that unfortunately you had to apply for and are in the real world working, and we don't get that opportunity, we're chasing it. If we don't do it in the morning, we're chasing it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And for me, it really depends on how the day is structured. Like, if I've got stuff to get me through until the afternoon, then that's fine. I like being awake and ready to do it. But I've had an internship where I had to be in the office by 8 with a half-hour commute. So I was waking up at 4:30, getting my workout in. It was a struggle, but then the rest of the day I was like, I've done the workout. Maybe I have another run, but the workout's done. And that's a really good feeling. I think it's just about being able to make sure that you're fully awake and ready to roll if you have a workout, and taking care of yourself, because you need to get the right amount of sleep and everything.
All right. We all know that there are body types and there are differences. There's genetics.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get to some of that. But let's talk about training, since you just mentioned getting that workout. What's your relationship like with lifting weights?
Yeah, I like lifting. I try to lift twice a week. It's not like prototypical. Like I'm not necessarily doing a bench press or anything. There is upper body work to do because still gotta have like strong biceps, triceps, and everything. But I love deadlifts. I love doing front squats.
Yeah,
I like some of the like power and everything that we get to do. So, and we have like a really, really nice weight room at our facility. So it was just, I really like lifting. I think it helped me stay less injury prone and keep injuries out of the way. And so I even was doing 3 lifts a week last summer, and I really enjoyed that period.
Okay, so you make it to Olympic trials. I don't know if anybody else is your mentor. I couldn't be a good one. Do you put that on a resume?
Yeah, it is on my resume. My parents were like, you have to. And I think when you look at a resume, you can have all the stuff you want about the things you've done, in the classroom and your internships and everything. And I have that. But I think it's nice to have a little bit of stuff at the bottom that's just like maybe academic awards, but athletic stuff too, where you're like, I'm not necessarily like every other candidate. I've done athletics. It's a lot of work, but it's been a really awesome experience for me. And maybe you can see that I've worked really hard at this and I can work really hard for you.
Okay, good. Because I've worked for a couple of Fortune 500 companies. I've done some hiring and unfortunately some firing. But I think that your resume is a representation of you. And if you could give that 360 look, if you could maybe give them a little peer into some hobbies and or other items, I think you should.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm gonna tell you, most of the time, I worked for Pepsi in Connecticut, Tom. I literally interviewed a nuclear scientist.
Wow.
We ultimately did not hire him, but what I will just say is that most people that are applying for jobs, except for that guy, they kind of have the same accomplishments. I mean, I was computer science at Michigan or at University of Texas, Austin. Okay, got it. Yeah, everyone did pretty good. You Tom, have a 3.86. The next guy has a 3.85.
Right.
What could separate there? So I'm glad you do that.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was a bad mentor because I was like, I totally think you should have it.
Yeah, I think it's good to have. So
yeah. Okay, so Olympic trials. You're there. You're moving and grooving. Tell us, now that you're looking back on it and with the results, what's your feeling? What's your feeling?
I think a bit of disappointment. I wanted to do a bit more, and I felt like I had more in me. But I think I'm grateful for the opportunity, and like the spring was a bit of a wash for me. I ended up coming down with mono in April. I was out for all of April. And so when I look at the season, it's definitely, I take it with a grain of salt, and I'm like, I'm really happy with whatever I was able to achieve because I worked really hard to get to that point through everything I was feeling. And like, I think I probably could have done better at the trials without that. But I look back and I'm like, that was just really fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm not going to be too hard on myself for the result because I know there were other things at play.
So, Tom, the rest of us think he's got to go pro. Like, what makes the differences? Because we don't follow it that close. Like everyone knows NBA draft, we know the NFL draft.
Yeah.
What, like, could you send that resume off? Like, I have a fraternity brother that works for New Balance in Boston. Like, do you have to do that kind of? Do you use those kind of things so that? Do you have to like market yourself now, or did they all come a calling just because you made the trials?
Yeah, I think when you look at pro running, it's sometimes feels like it's a really big circle of people, but it's kind of broken up into 2 groups. It's kind of the people who were pretty good in college and want to keep going with it, and it's the people who were insanely good in college and can actually make some really good money off of it. And so at a certain point you realize what group you're in. I'm in the first group. Like I was pretty good in college, but I'm not going to make like a ton of money off of it. I'm not going to get all these great sponsorships and opportunities. So you have a decision to make. Are you going to like keep going with it and accept less money to live the life that you want to live? Or that's not me. I want to live a life of just like working the job I studied for and living comfortably and having fun, and running's going to be a part of that. I think I'm going to try to keep running competitively, but I'm not going to run for anyone, be required to run any races or anything like that. I just want to live my own life. And if you want to go pro, there's going to be like, you got to hire an agent and everything. There's also going to be people that like start reaching out to you, at which point you're like, okay, I need an agent. The top runners in the country aren't just like going out alone. Like they're getting everyone left and right reaching out to them. And so I think that's also a really good indicator of, should I go pro or not? Well, I'm not hearing from anyone, so no.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. I apologize. I'm going to have to go back to U of M because there was something that I missed here. And I want to circle back because I bet there's some we're weekend warriors, the rest of us, Tom. All right, so all through high school, I don't know what you were wearing. I'm going to say Nike because you maybe grew up a Michael Jordan fan. I'm just guessing here. But then you get to Michigan, and actually I should have tried something else there. You guys are Nike. I know the football team has Jordan though, don't they?
Right, yeah, but our basketball and football are Jordan. Everyone else is Nike.
Oh, okay. So was that hard to switch to a Nike shoe when you got to U of M?
No, I mean, part of the reason you choose a school is like, okay, that's Nike. That's really cool. And that's not why I chose Michigan, but it's like, well, that's definitely not a reason to not go. I like Nike a lot. I was running in Saucony in high school, but I started testing out Nike shoes. I'm like, oh, these work, and Nike has the best spikes, so that wasn't a problem. So I was more than happy to go to a Nike school and wear all the Nike swooshes on everything I have. So
I went to an NAIA school.
Mm-hmm.
You can laugh, Tom. Clearly was not as fast as you. I did beat a Kenyan from the University of Miami before.
Nice.
So for normal people, you're impressed, but for normal people, they're impressed. They're over the moon with it. I didn't know it'd work on you. I'm glad it did. Do you? So I used to teach Kung Fu, and I coach a lot of youth sports here in Texas now. When you're really skilled, it was always declared that you have to declare, hey, I gotta, these are licensed weapons. Do you have to declare if you're going to enter some random local 10K? You just can't show up, Tom, right?
I can, yeah.
What?
I can just run whatever race I want to run. So
oh my God.
It's kind of funny, like, the other day there was a race locally and I didn't end up doing it. I'm just looking at the results and I'm like, yeah, I probably could have done something in this that would have been pretty funny. But yeah, I think it's about picking and choosing. Local races, yeah, you can definitely just hop in and people will be like, oh, what the heck? But,
I know.
But then you can get to some of the bigger races where there's actually money and they'll have elite fields and an elite field coordinator. And so that's a bit of a different experience. But yeah, like maybe I'll hop in a turkey trot this year and just have fun with it and see what happens.
Tom, if I'm in a turkey trot and I see you anywhere near it, this is what I'm going to say to you. Hey, I'll yell as you pass me because hopefully I can start off in front of you. I'm hoping. But because if you start in front of me, you won't hear it. But I'm going to say, hey, Tom, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot. I'm just mad. Fair
enough.
So, all right. Everybody wants to train with you now, though, right? Like they're just coming out of the woodworks, your friends and family, and everyone wants to go run with you now, right? You just made the trials?
I don't think anyone wants to do that to themselves. Like, I think people understand that their pace is not exactly going to be my pace on a run, and so they try to be considerate towards themselves and also considerate towards me of not wanting to make me run slow and make them run super fast. So
yeah. No, well, maybe I'm just overly confident. I'm okay. When we take off and you're ahead of me, anyone that's around, you know what I'm saying is, hey, I'm running with Tom Brady. Yeah, I'm with a guy. Did you see him like 5 minutes ago? He's with me. I mean, I think I'm enjoying it. I'm like, you know, I'm running with Tom Brady, right? Hey, did you know I'm running with Tom Brady? Yeah, he'll be back, and then I don't know. I think I'd enjoy the kick of it, the fun part. All right, so Tom, when you get to the next phase of your life, you said your parents were runners and they introduced it to you. You've been through it all now, and I'm a father of 3. I'm not wishing it on you, Tom. Yeah. It may happen. You may do one. Apparently 3 is a lot in my circle. All my friends are like, oh, man, that's so many. Do you think, because there's like football players like, no, I don't want my kids to go play football. Like the football dads, basketball dads, they want their kids to go, their daughters to go play volleyball. What about you? Do you think you're going to push it forward?
Yeah, I think so when I was a kid, my mom was the runner. My dad didn't really run. We eventually got him to start running, but my mom was the runner. And she never put pressure on me to do it. She was always just like, yeah, do you want to go run with me? We'll do like a really brief, short, easy run. And I thought that was so much fun. And so in middle school, cross country was super low stakes. And it wasn't until high school I really started working for it. And I'd wish the same thing on any kid I would have. Like, I don't want them to feel any pressure to do anything when they're young. I want them to be able to explore and choose their own sport. I hope running's in the cards because running's awesome. It's such a great atmosphere to be around. But yeah. I think the best runners play all these different sports when they're a kid and really have fun with it and choose running on their own. Because anyone who's pushed into it too young has a really high likelihood of flailing out because they're just burnt out.
Yeah. I want to ask you, do you think you'll use your skills for evil? For instance, Tom Brady, you have an open invitation to come down to Austin and do some ultimate frisbee with me and my friends. Because I could just imagine how towards the end of the game when everyone's fading, I'm still throwing deep bombs to you. Like, now that it's all done, can you go back to maybe, come do some ultimate, like I mentioned, or join some softball leagues? Because you said you loved baseball.
Yeah, I guess to a degree I could. I've always been someone who gets nervous about injuring themselves, and so I'm a cautious person. But sure, I'll hop in an ultimate game and make people I guess look silly because they get too tired and I'm not. And I like when I go on hikes and people have trouble getting me to break a sweat or I'm not breathing and they need to stop. I enjoy things like that. It's a lot of fun for me because I don't really have to say anything. They do all the talking. I'm just like, yeah, my bad. I enjoy things like that. I don't think I'll join any leagues or anything because I intend to keep running and I don't want to jeopardize any of that. But
yeah,
I think it's fun to find ways you can. Like, people will always bring it up. Like, you just climbed 4 sets of stairs and you're not even breathing. Like, people notice the smallest little things like that. So you just have fun with it.
Yeah. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to travel and train now that you're out of school and, on your vacations away from work. If you haven't already got a job, good luck on the hunt. We've got some great opportunities here in Austin. Google's here, Dell's here. Just offering. Yeah. And I'm trying to get a guy on my ultimate. But no, seriously, wherever you end up. But I'm kind of curious, would you be interested in man, I'd love to get a job in Colorado so I can go run the mountains? Because, you don't live there. You've lived up Michigan, Illinois. Is there something you'd be interested in to live?
I think for me, people put a lot of emphasis on training environments, and it's like, oh, it's really cool to live at altitude, and maybe that could help you. But you can set up a training environment anywhere and figure out your own way. So it's really just about where you're going to be happiest in your day-to-day life. And for me, that's not a place like Colorado. And I don't like the heat that much, so I'm definitely not going to be in the South. It's too hot for me.
Yeah. We had 100 degrees yesterday, and
that sounds
I don't
awful.
know. Yeah, it's a challenge, man. And like I told you, I got to coach youth sports, so I'm trying to get the best I can out of the kids, and
yeah,
it's just painful. Okay, Tom, we're at the end. Man, this went fast. Tom, you were awesome. This went fast. So I just got a couple more here.
Yeah.
Tom, do you think you could ever coach? Would you want to coach?
I'd have to make a lot of money first so I could retire, because I don't picture having any time to coach.
Okay.
Like I think people like to pursue their passions, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I really like computer science. It might be my passion. I think that's something I still need to explore.
Yeah.
But I've always said I want to have like a healthy, stable, comfortable life. And if that happens and I can do something like coach, that's great. But I'm not going to go out of my way to do something like that and risk like not having like this nice setup of a life I want to have. And I think I maybe could be a good coach, but I'm also a little bit of an extreme athlete and might not vibe with everyone. So there's a lot of considerations to have there. So
yeah, no, totally understand that. You know, there's a reason Magic Johnson wasn't a good coach. Yeah. There's a reason Michael Jordan does not draft well. He did horrible with the Wizards.
At it.
Yeah, because some people that are at a certain level, like we talked earlier, there's genetics. And I don't want to just put that on Michael Jordan, because he worked hard after everyone knows he didn't make the high school team, and he went and just grinded hard. So, it would be a different standard for you. Like, Coach Brady just got hired and he's coming here. I heard about him. There's a bunch of posts out here about this guy and his workout. All right, last question before we go. So, Tom, this has been amazing. I was just wondering, like, is there any parting shots, any for us weekend warriors, or even some kids? I've got a pretty good high school following here, to motivate us on our training, some Tom Brady-isms, some things that have guided you in your life. And then, of course, I'll finish by requesting social medias for people to follow. But was there anything you wanted to cover that we didn't? Anything you want to pass along?
I think for me, it's really just, I've always tried to have fun with what I'm doing, and I never told myself I couldn't do something or blocked myself off to the opportunity. Yeah. And so when I was in high school, people didn't think I could kick very hard. People frequently were like, "Man, you're really slow." And I never closed myself off to the opportunity that I could finish a race really fast and run really fast. And so I worked really hard at it. I worked really hard at it in college, and I got a lot better at it. And there were all these things that I felt like people doubted, and I just never closed myself off to the opportunity. And I'd say people can just stay open to the possibility that they could be good at something if they work really hard at it. Then that's going to open a lot of doors, because I don't think I'm the most naturally gifted runner, but I worked really hard at everything and I believed in myself, and I think that helped me get to where I am.
There's so much more. Tom, there's so much more. We're at the end of our limit. I'm going to let it go. But Tom, you may not know this, but I think this is great for others to hear. You sent me over the moon. Like, I literally got mad as a youth coach that someone thought or wanted to say out loud that you were too slow, because you just proved that you could work towards it. And so instead of telling someone they're too slow, let's say, hey, I really want to work with you because I think you can improve. I think you got something else in there. I think there's other ways to put it, but that's my coaching style. I don't know. That's how I do it. How can we follow you, gain a little bit more social media? Any social media you like to offer?
Yeah, I guess my only social media presence is my Instagram, really, which is TD, like touchdown Brady 15. So that's the main way to follow me. I don't post a whole lot, but frequently get put in posts from the school that they ask me to collab on. So
Oh yeah,
a lot of Michigan posts on there.
Oh, hey, I mean, let's be honest. For recruiting, you haven't heard the last of them because they're leading with, we had a guy go to the Olympic trials, right? Like, it's great.
And his name is Tom Brady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tom, I wanted to impress you because I wanted to stay away from lumping you in with him. How did I do there with that? Because
you did a nice job. Yeah.
All right.
So, appreciate
I was like, I want to show him I've got skills, and I'm just going to stay away from that. And everyone else can, every other hat.
It's like it's the softball. It's the softball questions. The Tom Brady stuff. So.
It is. Well, hey, thanks for your time, Tom. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining in and talking with Donato.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.